All right, everyone. I hope that you're having a great day. Today we're going to run through a lot of information. If you have questions, fire them off. We're going to try to answer them as quickly as we can. Either we'll address them verbally or we may reply in the chat depending on the question. Today is all about audience development and taking the stuff you're already doing and getting more benefits out of it. At this point, this is all about the details, and you're going to go through this with us today, and you're going to think to yourself, there's nothing major in here. That's exactly right. It's all the little things on how you use the tool, how you post the content, how you promote it, how you get others to do it. It's those little things that are the difference between an article that's a great article that gets read a few times and an article that goes viral. So we're going to talk about how this fits into our overall approach, how you can get other people to become your greatest promoters. Quick sneak peek, they're acting in their own best interest. Growing your email list is obviously important because it's a distribution channel that you have a great amount of control over. How to leverage Facebook, as Facebook is getting ever more competitive in terms of who sees what. How do you get more people to see your stuff? And then how to get more user-generated stuff. It's always nice when you have content you don't have to write or pay someone to produce. So looking at the Locable approach, if you've done training with Ryan lately, you've heard him talk about the sales first editorial strategy, and it really is true. It's that sales and editorial at the local level are so intertwined, because how many articles do you have that are about local businesses who should also probably be promoting themselves with you? And so, when you start with that and then you layer in having more content that brings in more readers, which then makes those articles you wrote about the businesses more valuable, all of it grows together. But the audience development is where you're sort of taking it and you're throwing fuel on the fire. So the different things that we talk about here is about ramping up that engagement. Now, we're going to start with getting other people to help. And there's a lot on this slide, so I'm going to walk you through, and as I surely will miss something, Ryan will chime in on what I've missed. But the first thing is, as you write content about people, they love to promote themselves. We've seen some really popular articles about, kids who are doing sports things. Is it, world changing? No. But it's fun. It makes you feel good about the world we live in and the community, and they share it with their friends and family, and you get the traffic. Groups are a great way, and these groups can be formal or informal. They can be a nonprofit. They can be a meetup group. The great thing about writing an article about a meetup group with a few hundred members, those members are going to read it, and then they're going to share it. And so this becomes a self-fulfilling success story. And it helps to encourage them to read it and to share it and to post it to Facebook and so forth. People are creative, but sometimes they're not all that much. They're not paying attention very much, right? So if you can tell them, do this, do this, do this, and you can use a form letter or form email, you're going to have a lot of success in getting them to promote it. I need to unmute, don't I? All right, I'm going to unmute.
No, you don't need to.
Oh.
So I just wanted to kind of chime in here, and I broke out people and businesses purposefully because, what you would, tell someone to share, a general, citizen, community member versus what you would say to a business is going to vary slightly, but the points are exactly the same. The first and foremost, you create content about them because, as Brian already said, people love to talk about themselves, and businesses are obviously trying to promote it. But then you got to tell them what to do. You got to let them know about the article, and you got to make it as easy as possible. So with people, letting them know about it is simply maybe you have a form letter, you send an email. With businesses, you can do, in addition to that, you can also, as you're promoting a piece of content online or on your Facebook page, you can tag that business. That way, if they're going to get notified that they've been tagged on Facebook, that helps them, as another reinforcing thing. And then when you get down to this last section, that's where things really start to vary a little bit. You can do a lot more with businesses because businesses are going to have a Facebook page. They're probably going to have an email list. They have a storefront most likely. They're probably going to have a website. So, when I say make it easy, when I say add a graphic to the site, if you're writing an article on your site about health inspection reports, and Lake County Today did a great job of this. They created this nice little graphic that you see in the middle of the screen, and when they sent the email saying, hey, we just wrote this article about the inspection reports that just came out, they sent an email to everyone saying, hey, you were in this you were listed in this report, you had 0, whatever they call them. Infractions, thank you. Post this to your site to let everyone know. So they made it really easy. Now that's free advertising basically for Lake County Today. Every time someone goes to their site now, they're going to, see that and they're like, oh, maybe I want to see what the other restaurants in town did. And that's driving traffic back to the site. Posting a sign or flyer, either on your front door or at your register. That's particularly useful when they're running a contest. We don't see this enough that the business or the sponsor of the contest doesn't actually promote it to their customers. I mean, why not take advantage of that? It's a lot simpler when you come around to people. It's basically, when you send the email, say, hey, make sure to send it to your friends and family. I mean, that's a lot simpler proposition. But with businesses, you want to go that extra mile and make it super dead simple so that they're going to say, oh, this is going to take me 2 minutes. I'm going to do it. I see the benefit. And as we'll talk about at the very end, we have some new, I'm going to kind of tease a little bit. We have an affiliate resource library now on each of your sites. And one of the things on there is a what to do doc for sponsors for social promotions that lists all this stuff.
Yeah, the key is, especially with businesses and the social media world that we live in, they're looking for things to say. And, coupons only go so far. So if they can talk about an article, especially an article they were involved with, that's a fantastic thing. Now, in sort of a related topic is best of. I know a number of you do best ofs or reader's choice, and there's sort of the big annual, and then there's some smaller ones that people do. I'm going to run through an example here of a publisher very near us who is the current issue in print is all about the best of stuff. So they have on their website an article that highlights the Reader's Choice Awards, the RCAs as they call them. Now, what you'll notice here is that they've created this main article, and then below there's links out to sub-articles that talk about the winners categorized by some process. Now, how you categorize and how many categories is way beyond the scope of this call, but the point here is they use multiple levels of articles. So if you click on one of them, it goes to an article that looks sort of like this. And then there's some images sprinkled in as you go through the page and so forth. Now, I would have loved to see each of these links go out to the directory. They didn't do that, and it would have taken a little while since there was, I think, 300 categories or something, and each one had 3 winners, so lots of businesses to be involved. But what we did very quickly is we went and we promoted it to Facebook, and we specifically wanted to reach the audience of some of the winners. So not all of your winners are going to have Facebook pages. Not all of them are going to have large Facebook pages. So you might want to think about starting with the ones that have the largest audiences. So what you do, the very first step is if you go to Facebook, up on the right-hand corner, you'll see this little arrow, and you'll click on it, and you'll do Use Facebook Ads. So this allows you to act other places on Facebook, but act as your page. If you do what I'm about to show you without making this change, then you're going to be posting as you. It would be Brian says this, and that would look sort of weird, right? So you post as a page, and by the way, when you want to go back to using Facebook as you come up here again, and you'll be the first option. And then you go to some of the organizations. Now I chose this preschool because my kids go here, but they did get second in the polls. So I went in and I just posted a little nice job voted a favorite preschool. And then I added the link to that particular article. Now, you can't really see this very well here because of an overlapping image, but what I posted in the write something on this page field looks like this, and it shows up a little bit lower on the page. That itself isn't terribly compelling, but what hopefully happens is that the business sees this and they get notified of it, and they come and they like it or they comment, at which point then it really gets pushed out to their fan base. So if you can write something even more engaging or ask a question or something, you really want to do that. In this case, being voted a winner is actually a pretty compelling story on that. So you will notice not every business allows people to post stuff on their page. So if you don't see this write something on this page box nothing you can do. It's the setting of the business. Although what you could do is if you come up and click on these three little dots up here, one of the options should be message this business. You can send them a message. And of course, if you have their email address, you would want to send them something. And what you send them, as Ryan said before, should be sort of a, I hate to say form, but here's the URL, here's something you might want to say, so they can copy and paste it in and they can be done and they can move on very, very quickly. So this is the social version. In the real world, Style does something that I think makes a ton of sense. Is for each of their winners, they have plaques made out, and those plaques get hung in the stores. And when you go in, you see, oh, I won the whatever 2014 RCA from Style Magazine. So the real world and the social media world can absolutely coexist in a friendly way. Now, as you're going through all of this, you also want to be growing your email list so that as you're posting this article, you can share it to email. And as you have other things going on, you can share it to email, and it can just continue to have a large distribution. Now, sometimes you'll have a sign-up form on your Facebook page or in your sidebar or something. The problem is it's sort of an orphan sign-up bar. And you really want this to be contextual to your articles. I read an article, I really like that article, I will hit like, and maybe I'll subscribe to the email. And so what you see here is a little graphic that we've added to a few sites, and we can add to yours, which allows people to subscribe right on the article or right on the event. This is using the newer universal embed feature, which we talked about a few weeks ago, and you can read about in the Help Center if you'd like. So basically, really easy, drop it in and people can sign up. Now, this uses MailChimp. I just learned that Constant Contact doesn't have a subscribe form feature. You can subscribe, but you can't embed a form. And I don't know about vertical response, but another reason we love MailChimp. Likewise, social promotions. I mean, how many times do we talk about social promotions, right? But they're powerful because when people fill out this form, you'll see there's a checkbox that says allow Mountain View Publishing and our sponsors to send you emails. 7 out of 10 people who enter allow. If they like this promotion, they're going to like the next one. And so it really does ratchet up your email opt-ins. Obviously, promoting things in print is useful if you have a print product. So don't fall short on talking about it. Here's what you can expect. If you subscribe to our email newsletter, you'll get a weekly email with fill in the blanks. So then, of course, you need to actually send useful email. So having good content, sharing it, and being diligent there is an important piece. But of all the things you do, it'll grow your traffic very, very quickly.
So just to add to that before he moves on, I really want to stress the fact that you want to make it simple, especially when you're adding a contextual, subscribe box to the bottom of the article. Don't ask for more than just the email address. That's all you need in order to send them an email. Don't ask for their name. Don't ask for all this other stuff. If you want to have those kind of options, do that on your subscribe page. There you can let people set their preferences. You can collect more information. But in this case, make it dead simple for them. It'll make it really easy, and you'll get a much better response from these articles.
That's a great point.
I just wanted to add that in.
That's a great point. There's I think a desire we have, I'll just ask for one more thing. Oh, it'd be great if I knew this too. And that might be great, but every extra thing you ask for, sort of people fall off. The only reason you see multiple things on this little screenshot to the right is because that's the entry form on a social promotion. That's a different type of thing. People know they need to fill that out to win something. So, okay, how to get more people to engage. We know, not just across Locable, but across the internet, for every 100 or 1,000 people that read a piece of content, one will comment. Many more will share to Facebook. And people are more likely to engage on Facebook because, well, all sorts of psychological trigger reasons. But the point here is you should view engagement as something that takes place both on your website and on Facebook. And so here's a few things that we've done as examples, and you'll see how they play back and forth. So the two on the left side here for Mansfield Magazine are questions that we posted for the community. These were related to the time of year. They're related to things people care enough about to answer, gets pictures going, and we have sort of an ulterior motive here. We're getting feedback from people on what says fall, what says pumpkin patches, what says those sorts of things, so that we can write articles. They're literally going to give us everything we need to write an article, from images to the main topics. And oh, by the way, it's about people in the community, so that sort of checked the box from before. And so this gets it going, and then when we publish, we'll thank those people for being a part of the story. Now, what this also does is it connects to some of the on-site commenting. Now, commenting on the site can be very popular, but it does require sign-in. We do this for a very good reason. We want this to be authentic. We don't want people just commenting random garbage. We also want comments like votes, like reviews of businesses, to be connected to individual users. Now, we don't have sort of a public profile right now, but there's a profile that happens behind the scenes, and in the future we'll introduce the public. The point here is, if you can do some things to encourage people to comment on your site, they will. And one of the great ways is running contests on your site. And so there's a combination of things you can do there. With all of it, though, you really want to have questions, you want to post calls to action, things that people can respond to. You could have the most compelling article and people get to the end and go, yep, that was good, and they move on. But if you ask them, what do you think? What's your opinion? Would you have done it this way? Or something even more specific, the odds are they're going to think in their minds, I would have suggested you do it this other way. And the odds of them posting go up 500-600%, statistically speaking. From time to time, you might want to cover a hot button topic, or maybe it's less significant. You have two rival high school football teams that are going to play against each other, and you could throw it out there and let people get a little heated about the game if it's got a lot on the line. So the more that you do of these things, the more engagement you will get. We also do like turning popular Facebook posts into stories, and we've talked about that in the past, how you can embed them. On Facebook itself, definitely post questions. Post questions people care about. The time of year matters, or time as it pertains to the question matters. But also, as people respond, interact with them. Post responses. Now, you'll notice, if you look in the middle here, that there's a response from Mansfield Magazine. When you're on your page, if you're an admin and you respond, by default, you'll post as your page. This is to keep it basically to keep you from forgetting to do it the other way. So you'll notice Tonya said something. I can't remember what she said. We responded, and there's a little conversation here. That's all good. That shows people that we're here. We're not just sort of speaking in the megaphone, but that we're actually listening and engaging, and good stuff will come from it. We did a story on pumpkin patches, actually a sponsored guide, a paid piece of content that people shared like crazy. And someone said, oh, this church is selling pumpkins for a fundraiser. And so we had the opportunity to learn about that we didn't know, and to ask more about it, so that hopefully we can get enough info to put it into the story. So you definitely want to cover a lot of ground here, and be sure to tag businesses if they are in the post. And to do it is fairly simple. You use the @ sign, like in the email, and you start typing the name of the business. Sometimes business page URLs and page names are really funky, so if you can't find it, you may have to go look and see. But if you tag them, it'll show up in their notification bar, and the odds are they're going to comment or share it or like it or something. So the more you can do to make people aware that you're talking about them, the better off you'll be. And don't be afraid to both tag them in a post and then go to their page like I showed you before and post that same sort of thing. It makes it much more likely that someone there will see it and respond.
So just to wrap that up, there's one other piece that a lot of people don't think about, and that's kind of the community outreach piece. I mean, we talked about community engagement in the past, but in this context, if you're writing an article that is, about a specific topic, and there are experts out in the community that you have relationships with, whether that's a business owner or just somebody send them an email being like, hey, we thought you'd like this article. We'd love to get your opinion, share a comment on here or post a comment on Facebook. That's okay too. That's just it's a slightly different form of what we're talking about, but equally valuable. That's what I mean by ask experts to comment on an article or post.
I really like that, and I think it's a great way to sort of seed the commenting. Those of you who've been at trade shows before, you ever notice the phenomenon that the booth that's busy has more people walking up, and the booth that's slow stays slow. There's literally psychological triggers about that, or at a wedding when no one's out on the dance floor and someone goes out and everyone goes out. So if you can help people comment and interact, especially someone who has something whose opinion is sort of weighted or valuable, um, you're going to see even more people interacting with that content. So user-generated content, we love user-generated content. Sometimes this is, them posting their event. Sometimes it's people submitting articles. Sometimes it's people coming to you and surfacing content, surfacing articles or stories that you can cover. There's shades of gray to a great extent. We've created some editorial calendars for some sites that we're trying to hit on as part of our publisher concierge with different content throughout the week. This is more of a guideline than a hard and fast rule, but what we also do here is we call out what we're looking for. Do you know somebody like this, like that? People might feel funny about talking about their kid who had something great happen, like they're being boastful. But if we're asking, hey, has your kid done anything interesting in sports lately? Then they're just answering a question, and that's just polite. So it's a very different way for them to respond and interact. And again, it gives us some great content. So definitely ask for it. Ask for it in print, ask for it online, ask for it on Facebook and email. Use all the channels you have available to let people know, hey, this is about the community, and we want to tell your story. So make it a part of how you connect with and interact with your community.
Yeah, so I kind of say this in just a little bit when I said contest seriously, because it's I think the third or fourth time we've mentioned it during this presentation. But as we've said time and time again, contests are a great way to build your list, build your audience, drive traffic, and even make money on it. In this case, in particular, when I say contest, I'm thinking more of like where someone would upload a photo, or maybe you're doing a blogger contest and they're submitting a piece of writing. Both of those situations are great ways to get user-generated content. One example is, with Idaho Falls, we've run several photo voting contests, and we turn around and take those photos and turn them into articles, or at the very least, use the submissions and make collages in order to promote the contest over, before it ends. So there's a lot of different things you could do there. When I say ask for it and promote it, it's not one of these things, if you build it, they will come situations. If you don't ask for it and you're not talking about it, people aren't going to do it. So in email, you want to, you see over here on the right, the little graphic, post and promote, submit a story or tip, add your business, post an event. You should have that in every email that goes out in the sidebar as a quick link. On site, you can see at the bottom, the red box at the bottom, there's a Write for Us, page. There's a web editorial page. All over the site, we're constantly reminding people to get involved. And the last point here with community outreach, and we talked about this in last week's office hours, both the sales and the editorial team play a huge role in finding content to produce. Sales team, when they're out talking to prospective advertisers or existing clients, they need to be kind of prospecting for stories. Did their kid have win some award, or I did a story along probably about 2 years ago for my parents' publication up in New Hampshire. One of their better clients, their son, qualified for the Olympics, and we did a story online for them. That obviously comes back around. You cover them, they feel inclined to buy an ad from you. It's kind of a give and take relationship, especially at the local scene. So don't think that this is just on the editorial team. It's also on the sales team. Everyone in your organization should be involved. Just because I'm not on one of those two teams, even if I was say an office assistant, I'm on Facebook. I'm looking at feeds. I have local connections. Maybe I see something really cool that would make a great story. They should be sharing that with the editor and the sales team as well. So really start to create this culture around community outreach, around user-generated content, and everyone, kind of needs to be on board, which is why we recommend once a week getting everyone in a room and do it in a little stand-up, 10 minutes. You don't even need to sit down around a table. In fact, I'd say don't sit down around a table. Just stand around a room, maybe it's in the kitchen, maybe it's in your conference room, whatever, and just go around and say, here are my 2 ideas. I'd really like to be able to reach out to this person. Can we do a story here? And it gives you the opportunity to kind of walk away at the end of the day saying, here are my 3 action items for helping drive content and user-generated content and growing my audience, and it gets everyone on the same page and excited about it.
Clearly, there's no shortage of ways to drum these things up. And one last thing that I'll add that I meant to speak to earlier and sort of spaced on is, as you're posting these various articles, you do an interview with, a kid who makes states and track. At the end of that article, there should be a call to action that says, do you know somebody who's blah, 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 and link back to your editorial calendar or the contact page or whatever. And we have as a standard sort of sentence and a half, 2 sentences, a piece that we put at the end of every article that sort of falls into this community content bucket. Because if somebody reads that article, they're, oh, isn't that sweet? My kid sort of likes this too. And they get to the end and you literally are telling them right there that they can be next. The odds of them letting you know are far higher than them having to dig around and be like, I wonder if they're interested in hearing my story. So, don't be afraid about hitting people over the head with it. And there's another little side effect to this. If you have these links peppered throughout your site, Google sees that. And it means that things like your web editorial page or your Write For Us page or whatever you're calling this thing will actually rank highly in Google. And so you may have people find that you're open to content ideas from search. And that's a fantastic thing. So definitely don't overlook the power of repetition. All right, so as we continue, for those of you in print, we're not going to go a deep dive into print to web. We've got a webinar on that you can check out. But as you do continue to be consistent in print and send people online, don't think that it ends there. If you've got in this issue, which you should if you have a print product, there's no reason why you can't have calls to action in print. In this case, calling issues or subscribe to the magazine. And so there can be this give and take between the two mediums. And you'll notice, by the way, that the subscription for the email automatically appears on this side as well. So view this as a way to drive sort of a reciprocal benefit between your various properties. And we've talked about this before, and I love this graphic that Ryan pulled together. A lot of times people say, well, I don't need to put it in an email because it says it on my website or it says it in print or whatever. But the thing is, not every medium hits every one. And even if it does, people are preoccupied and they don't read and they scan, and sometimes they're not really paying attention. And so you need to have a number of touch points to really get the message across. Or maybe I saw it and I go, I'd love to learn more about WorstFest, but I'm really in the middle of something right now. And then I sort of wander away. And if you don't remind me, I'm not coming back. That's just the world we live in. So do not feel bad about promoting the same stories, the same contests, the same whatever, multiple places in multiple ways. In fact, good stories or good concepts will promote multiple times to the same channel, whether it's Facebook or email, and definitely with things like guides that we'll send out there. So repetition works. Repetition works. Let's see what I did there. All right. So we've covered a lot related to audience engagement. It's a lot of little things. And I would suggest that you look at the things that you're doing and you think to yourself, okay, what are the easiest wins that I have? Maybe it's calling out businesses on my posts on Facebook. That's the easiest thing for you to do. It takes an extra 5 seconds. Maybe it's something a little more detailed, like starting an email newsletter and adding it to your Facebook, adding it to your website so it appears. These are good investments, and most of them, you do the setup work once and they start to bear fruit. And then once you build your first email, you can reuse that basic template and you can just sort of lather, rinse, and repeat. So look at what's the easiest things for you to accomplish. Start there. Don't feel like you have to go do everything right away.
I'm a little delayed. And just as a reminder for adding the email subscribe form, last week we announced that we give you the ability to universally embed that subscribe form or anything else for that matter at the bottom of the articles. So you can do it once, it's set up, and you're good to go for every new article you publish. Yep.
All right, so tech updates. I'm going to do a little rapid fire. You may have noticed, if you're looking at the Manage Articles page in your admin, that there's a new little tab that says Syndicated. We now have the family features content flowing into the system, and I think it shows up Monday early morning. And so some of this stuff you're going to want to probably publish. Is it local? Not necessarily, but you can localize. So there's a couple of things I'll quickly highlight on family features. The first is if you're interested, you can have it auto-publish. Let us know. We have to set it for you, but all the content will automatically publish. Number two, if you hit add locally, what it will do is take you to the publish article form that you're used to. You can localize it, you can edit it, you can pretty much do whatever you want. The only thing is it does need to have, I think, a link out or something to the sponsor so that it's the sponsor is getting a little benefit out of it. But this isn't like grotesquely self-promotional, although if you look, there's always going to be a brand involved. But there's good stuff like 10 gluten-free recipes. That's pretty good. And the fact that it calls out McCormick's as a seasoning, no big deal, right? Ryan's got some information he's going to be updating this with. They've got a guide for localizing content. So, if you got somebody for, I'm looking at this list here. There's another article that just published about, preparing your lawn for fall. There's no reason why you can't call out a local lawn care provider, an advertiser in that, and give them a little love from this article that rolls through. So feel free to localize that to your heart's content.
Yeah, and I'll just add in that the topic of next week's office hours is actually going to be this entire family features integration that we've done. We will have family features on the call. We're going to have them introduce to you their kind of process for creating content so that you can get comfortable with the type of content they're creating. I will note that with the auto publish or even with just adding it manually, it doesn't automatically get promoted to your homepage. That process is still, following the promote and pin buttons that you're used to. So there's a lot of flexibility here. And just to reiterate what Brian said, we'll be going through their guide on how to localize content because they are very flexible in what you do with their articles. You can edit it, you can change the text, you can even change the headlines. And like Brian said, there's a lot of opportunities to localize these by referencing local businesses. And, it's just one of those things that it's a great starting point. You don't need to write the whole article. You can take something that's pretty good and make it really great for you, within 5 minutes versus having to spend an hour writing and researching. So this is a great way to sprinkle in an extra article a week. If your goal is to do, 3 articles a week or 4 articles a week and you're having trouble doing 1 or 2, this is a great way to supplement that.
Think of this sort of as the Associated Press, only this is lifestyle content. I will note that when you click add locally, it will then go to your main local articles tab. And if you happen to ever decide you're deleting it, it will show back up and you can re-add the original. So feel free to play around with that. As part of that work that we did, we introduced this notion of topics. So those of you who've been looking for subcategories, we've got them, at least in the way that we built it out. So topics now appear in the mega menu when you've added them. What we do is a topic is a tag that is got special powers, right? So you can only turn tags into topics. So if you're wanting police to be a topic, police has to exist on at least one article already. But what you do is you click Manage Site up at the very top and then go to Topics, and then you go into the respective category. We don't have the screenshot, but you'll see it. And you just start typing out the tag. So you go into the wellness field, there's a text area, you start typing health, it'll auto-suggest everything that matches and you add it. You can reorder these. And in addition to showing up in the mega menu, there's a couple other cool things. They can be added as a featured category, now featured category and topics to the homepage. So you can have lots of those appearing. Maybe Halloween is something you'd want to add, so you can sort of cycle some of these seasonally. You can also now add what's called a sidebar widget. It looks very much like the homepage featured categories, but you can drop it into your sidebar. And so when you go into your managed sidebar, you'll see a new element called Add Topic. And when you come over here, you have a drop down, and you can choose from the tags that have been converted into topics, and you can say how many articles you want to show there. We believe there may actually be a bug at the moment, so you definitely define the number of articles. Don't leave it blank. We're going to fix that, but just a heads up. And so on every page where that sidebar appears, you'll see a feed of articles. So you could use this for sponsored content. Maybe you don't want sponsored content to show up in your business page, but you do have something that you want, a topic you want to call sponsored. You can do that now. So articles, they used to require a category to publish. Now they require a category or a topic. You don't have to associate an article with a category. And so that's a great way for you to have very specialized topics and group things together, like paid content that you might not want to be in food and dining, but you might want it to be, sponsored recipes or something. You can get really creative with that, and you can show it off in these other feeds. If I've thoroughly confused you, never fear. We have this new Affiliate Resources Center. So up in the upper right-hand corner of your website, it's right on your website. When you're signed in, click on your email address, as Ryan has here. Come down and click Affiliate Resources. And when you do that, you're going to be taken to this page that has all sorts of goodies. It's got some screenshots, it's got some Word documents, it's got some graphics. There's the tech knowledge base that you see there, which has been updated with a lot of these new features. So lots of great stuff that you can find there. If you think to yourself, I'm going to email Brian and Ryan and ask them where to find something, start here. It's likely you'll find it. And if it's not there, we should add it. So this is going to be continually added to, but there's like 40 or 50 items that are already here. And of course, you'll learn more about the impact program and how you can make a little money that way. So really great work that Ryan did there, building out this page and pulling it all together. We still have the tech knowledge base, which is specific around how do I add a topic? What's the difference between a topic and a category? That's all in the tech knowledge base. But these are just great resources that you should have access to. And I see a comment there. Let me take a look. So you have complete instructions on topics in the affiliate library because you lost me. Isn't it good I did my homework over the weekend? Yeah, so go into the tech knowledge base, which is locable.zendesk.com, or from here, or frankly from locable.com. Lots of ways to get there. And you'll see a whole bunch of stuff related to categories and topics and tags and how that hierarchy works together. And if you have any specific questions, let us know, but you can set those up. We even have suggestions, updates for how to use tags more effectively, like don't use recipe, use recipes as a tag, and that's a plural and so forth. One last thing, we've been teasing this for a while. We were waiting on something from Broad Street to get this done. They've finished their work. We're finishing this up. There's a chance it's going to roll out today or tomorrow, but the new ad server will be rolling out, and it has all sorts of really great new things for you, in addition to the fact that you can manage your own ads directly, meaning no more insertion orders for us. The ads are responsive, so the sites will look much better on mobile. And they're really pushing the envelope on ads the way that we are on sort of what it means to be a local content site. And so they're introducing lots of new ads types. It's hard to explain, but beyond just normal banner ads, and even normal banner ads that have, multiple images and sort of more animated and so forth. So there's a lot of great things happening. And like next week's going to be family features, it's likely that the following week we'll do something with Broad Street. We may even break it out and not do it as an office hour, but just as a standalone webinar. So we're really excited about those two things. And then we've got a whole another set of upgrades that'll be following on other foundational stuff. So busy times here in Locable. Whew. Okay, so we've covered a lot today. I'm going to have Ryan turn off the recording, and if you have any questions, go ahead and fire them off so we can answer them and send you on your way feeling like you learned something new or have some new tools to work with.